Well, I'm going to go ahead and kick us off. Usually I do introductions. I'll throw to you. You can promo all your stuff, and then I'll probably ask you what cartoons you've watched lately. When we say cartoons, we mean media in general. Everything's a cartoon if you think really hard about it. Thank you for tuning in to Gay Space Rocks, a Steven Universe watching podcast where we watch Steven Universe. I am your host, Brian. You can find me on the internet at RoomWarePod, and you can find the podcast on Twitter at Gay Space Pod. With me, as always, is my azure-haired co-host, August.
Hello. I'm really more seafoam haired at this point because I haven't retouched my hair in a while, but you can find me on Twitter at Harpydora, and my pronouns are they, them.
And with us today is our special guest, Pangaea. Pangaea, please introduce yourself to our listeners.
Hi, I'm Pangaea. I'm currently dirty-haired and with lack of rest over here. You can find me on all my social medias. I'm a Chicago-based drag queen out here trying to live my life and, be cute or whatever. You can find me on all my social medias at Pangaea, PANGAEA _S_planet. That's on Twitter and on Instagram. Yeah, that's about it for me. I do have a show coming up on the 9th with Chicago Black Drag Council, which you can look up on their Twitter or on their Instagram at Chicago Black Drag Council. It's a 2000s themed drag show, and I'll be doing some fun Smash Mouth for your nerves,
Oh, damn.
Throwing it all the way back. And as far as cartoons I've been watching, my good old reliable is always Bob's Burgers. I think I've watched every episode at least 5 times, and whenever I'm crafting, it's the go-to background sound. Live action cartoons. I just finished the last few of the Golden Compass, His Dark Materials thing on HBO Max, and Veneno on HBO Max, which messed me all the way up, but it's such a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful piece.
Oh, interesting. How is that show? Because I haven't started watching it yet, but I've heard good things. I just don't know. I don't know anyone who's started watching it. So how what's your general take on it?
On Veneno?
Sorry, on the Golden Compass bit.
Oh, I like it. I like it a lot. I think it's way better than the movie. I was a big fan of those books growing up. I grew up in a super anti-religion house, so those were always our go-to reading material. And so I'm having a blast with it. I think it's cast beautifully. I think it's shot beautifully. You got random Lin-Manuel Miranda in there acting like Hamilton or whatever. It's fun. It's a fun time.
Nice. And what was the other thing that you had been watching?
Veneno?
What is that? I don't know anything about that. What is that?
Oh, it's great. It's this new show on HBO Max. It's it's telling the story of this trans Spanish icon in the 90s, and it's really beautiful. It's definitely, I have to take the episodes a week at a time, honestly, because of the amount of emotional labor it takes to get through them sometimes. Mm-hmm. But it's really, really beautiful, and all the actors in it are just so talented and so stunning. Every shot is a work of art. They don't miss a beat with how beautiful they make the show. The dubbed version is fine, but I would have to go with subtitles here only because the dubbed version it's just a little rough sometimes.
No, yeah,
matching up.
I feel for a live action series, I would much prefer something with subtitles, anyways, because then you get a more direct connection, emotion wise, to the lines being delivered.
Definitely. It's so much more beautiful. I started watching the dub version because I was feeling lazy, and then I switched over and rewatched again with just actually. the subtitles, and I was like, oh wow, this is so much. Not that the dub isn't great and the dub actors aren't killing it, but it's just so much more like connected with the with the subtitles and with their actual voices coming out of their mouths.
Yeah.
And it's like Spanish from Spain, which is like such a romantic Spanish. Like there's a little lisp they do in Barcelona that's just so pretty.
Oh,
I love it.
Oh, interesting. Huh. That sounds really good. I'm going to probably check that out because HBO Max has told me fuck all about that.
I can see them not putting it out there.
Yeah, like the only two things I've watched on HBO Max are like basically just Steven Universe, and I watched Lovecraft Country, and the algorithm is like, we don't know what you are. What is wrong? What do you want?
Yeah, Lovecraft Country is the one that I haven't started yet, but I know I need to because I love a good scary movie moment, and so if I can have it as a series, I'm totally down. But I'm like, sometimes it just seems so arduous to start new shows.
Oh, God, yes.
Yeah.
That's a mood.
Yeah.
Speaking of August, have you watched any cartoons lately?
Okay, so I was stuck in a chair for 3.5 hours on Saturday, and I could do nothing but watch Hulu and or Netflix. And for the first, like, half hour, we were, like, quasi sort of watching Drunk History, but it was jacked up somehow and was, like, skipping whole swaths of episodes. So we switched to Netflix, and I watched a couple of episodes of Queer Eye because, you know, I figured that would take my mind off things. And then as things wore on, I ended up going back to the good old chestnut of Oron High School Host Club.
Oh, yeah. Love.
Because sometimes you're sitting there and you're having somebody stab you multiple times with a needle and you just want to kiss, fall in love.
100%. 100%. I just finished Kikagori too. I think that's how it's pronounced. The gambling anime. Oh my god, what a great time.
I just really did not expect you to be like, yeah, we were watching Drunk History and then move into Oron High School Club.
I mean, that's a solid cocktail of an evening there.
It's true.
Yeah, I mean, it was fine. Like, I just wanted something that I didn't have to, like, actually focus on, because by that point in the sitting, I was just like, okay, are we done yet? Are we done yet? Are we done yet? Are we done yet?
Right.
Because I refused to do a second sitting. I wanted it all in one go, so.
No, that's fair. That makes sense.
What were you doing?
I was getting tattooed.
Oh, I was like, needles? What a wild time.
No, I was getting my first tattoo.
Awesome.
Yeah, I can show you pictures later, but yeah, it was an experience. I want another one, but I'm going to wait on that. But
yeah, you should probably...
Yeah, I want to get my first tattoo sometime this year, too.
Ooh, nice.
But I'm like so anti-committal with everything to do with my body that it took me like 5 years to get my ears pierced. So we'll see when I actually follow through with this. But I want a tramp stamp.
Nothing wrong with that.
No.
Oh yeah, all the tattoos I want are on my back, and they're all trashy. Because, I don't know, they reflect my moment and my mood. Which I'm like, should I bank on like my moment being the decision maker? Or should I like think further on it? And I'm choosing the think further option currently.
That's fair.
But we'll see.
We'll
see. We're in the middle of the pandemic. We might go wild and get my angel wings tattooed on my back one day.
Oh, that'd be pretty dope.
Do it.
I've been watching just weird... What was that YouTube channel I was talking about earlier? No, I literally just started a YouTube channel today called 5x5 Takes. They're very tiny. I didn't realize they were tiny because they have very good production values. So that's pretty nice. They had a thing about Buffy the Vampire. They had a video about defending Buffy the Vampire Slayer Season 6. So I was like, well, all right, I guess we're on the same page about that.
Is that the one with like the god who comes and like takes away Tara's like ability to think or whatever?
No, that's Season 5. Season 6 is like the season basically everyone hates because like tonal whiplash, and then like they fridge Tara, which is like fair on that point. But
listen, I could go on about why I think season 6 is a train wreck. So
I could like they bring up a lot of points that I've like. The thing I liked is like they echoed a lot of points that I've made about season 6, which is like not my favorite season of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but it's like number 2.
Wow.
Yeah, motherfucker.
Brian.
I love me some Buffy.
I love Solo. I like season 6 of Buffy. I'm here with the bad takes.
Brian, it's a shame that we're going to have to end this podcast after how many episodes because we're not friends anymore.
I mean, season 6 hosts one of the best episodes in the entire universe, which is Once More Worth Feeling, hands down, no doubt.
I mean, sure, like, that's a really great episode, and I don't think anybody who has ears can argue that, but just because it has a really great episode in it doesn't mean that it isn't, like, kind of a horrible mishmash where they had no idea where they were going, and they couldn't actually commit to one single theme, and, like, they did Tara dirty, they did Willow dirty.
I think they did Tara dirty. Definitely. I'm not arguing that point. That didn't I feel like we could have gotten to the end point of the season without that. But basically, like, how I've always felt is I feel like season 6 probably should have been the last season of Buffy, but then you can't just end, like, the way season 6 ended, you can't just end the fucking series there. Like, if you didn't end it at season 5, then you definitely couldn't end it on season 6. But it's season 6 functions as an epilogue series of, like, well, we beat the biggest bad we ever beat, and then we made a really selfish choice, and then everyone has to live with the choices that they've made.
Yeah, but they couldn't commit. They
That's
couldn't
fair.
commit. They didn't go hard enough on what was going on with Willow. They should have gone way harder on that because that would have been even more emotionally gut-wrenching with everything else that was happening with, you know, having revived Buffy and everything. And like, okay, you know what, Brian? You know what? At some point between seasons, I will try to mainline season 6 of Buffy and we will fucking Kubrick that shit.
Okay. I'm also like a dirty, like, Spike, stan. So.
Oh no, I love Spike.
Yeah.
Like we're on the same page there. Like Spike's awful. I love him.
Yeah, he's the best bad boy.
He's so
Yeah.
awful. He's so terrible. It's great. But he's such a fucking nerd. Like he tries so hard. He's such a tryhard, but
true.
he's still a fucking nerd. It's great.
I love it. But yeah, that was 5x5 takes. They have some good videos. They have mostly videos about She-Ra. It's that, like, basically the only videos they have with views on them are the ones about She-Ra, and then everything else is just like no views but good essays otherwise. And then I've been watching WandaVision, but that's too new for me to, like, talk at length about, but it's pretty good. I like when television shows decide to get real fucking weird with their properties.
Love.
So, but let's go. I don't think there's any Steven Universe news. I haven't noticed anything. Did you, August?
No,
Okay.
I haven't seen anything, and I've got Beachapalooza already, so that's the only source of news I had.
I finally got my DVD box set, audience. Cartoon Network bait and switched me a little bit on it. I'm not bitter. It's fine.
So do you know the official order now? Because I was listening to the last podcast you had about, like, what order are we in going in it anymore? You know?
Yeah.
Because even when looking at things up to look up for this podcast, I was like, these numbers, they make no sense.
None. So we're still going off of we're going off of the order on the the Steven Universe wiki. Because I never realized, like, because it lines up until the end of this, and then basically post this season in the beginning of season 2, it all falls into line. It just, like, basically Cartoon Network at the time apparently, like, pushed real hard to get the first Steven bomb out, and so what that did is it preempted the, like, 3 episodes in the season that got bumped over to season 2. So, YOLO.
Living wild and free.
Yep. But on that note, we're going to start our episodes this week. We watch episodes 46, 47, and 48. Open Book, Shirt Club, and Story for Steven. We're going to start out with episode 46, Open Book. It was written and storyboarded by Hilary Florido and Katie Mitroff. Came out on March 19th, 2015. Doesn't really matter. Official synopsis. Stephen and Connie want a new ending to a beloved book series, so Stephen takes them to Rose's room to reenact it. All right, I'm going to give him a pass on that one.
Yeah.
That seems about right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
After reading the last installment of the Unfamiliar Familiar series, the wiki always calls it the Spirit Morph Saga. I'm pretty sure fucking no one says that in the show. I don't like that may be what the actual series is, but I always thought the fucking name of the book series was Unfamiliar Familiar. That may just be like one book inside of that series, but it's Unfamiliar Familiar, and I'm going to refer to it as such from that point on. Fight me, Wikipedia. Stephen closes the book and sighs. Connie immediately asks Stephen for his opinion. When Stephen sort of hesitates on giving his opinion to Connie, Connie goes immediately into a tirade how she feels like the end of the books ruined the books by going into a romantic subplot and ditching all of the political allegory and themes that they had been building up to. She goes on about this at length for like a while. Stephen looking increasingly uncomfortable as it goes on. She laments wishing that they could change the ending. Stephen says that they probably could and offers to use Rose's room to be able to do that. They enter the room and Stephen basically explains how the room works. It makes things out of clouds, probably. He summons a whale. They high five. It's great. Basically explains that the room can make anything. And Connie's like, well, let's make the Infinity Fair. And Steven's like, let's calm down a little bit and not overload it too much. So they decide to make a costume shop. Basically, they turn into the characters. Steven becomes the character of Arkham Icarus, the owl. Connie goes into a costume shop.
Excuse you, Falcon.
The owl, yeah. What's the real difference between an owl and a falcon?
Danielle will murder you. She knows where you live.
He turns into a falcon. Connie goes into the costume shop. She begins kind of like coming up with the perfect costume for the main character of this series, whose name is... I thought I had it written down here. I can't remember. Lucy?
Was it Lisa? I feel like it wasn't Lucy.
Lisa. It's Lisa. It's right here. There it goes. She's trying to create the costume for the perfect Lisa. Stephen becomes impatient, saying, I want to see you now. And Connie walks out looking very fancy. She's got like an eye patch on. It's very good. And then they proceed to sort of rewrite the book. Stephen's like, where should we start? And Connie tells him, like, well, where do you think we should start? So Stephen kind of starts riffing, saying that, well, if the wedding ending doesn't work, well, let's do a business proposal. And they start selling turkey legs for the rebellion. As they're doing that, they kind of reach the end of that. And he's like, well, what do you think we should do now? Connie kind of urging Stephen to voice his opinion again. They meet the sky dragon. It screams and then eats a turkey leg whole, bones and all, exclaiming Connie. Again, Stephen asks Connie what they should be doing. Connie kind of urges Stephen for his idea. He's like, well, we should be fighting the authorities. So he summons a group of 3 knights in armor who are trying to shut them down because they're selling turkey legs without a permit and they're underage, but these are free-range turkeys and they didn't listen to nobody. And so they begin fighting the knights hiding behind the turkey leg cart. Finally, Stephen asks Connie, what do you want to do? And she's like, well, what do you want to do? He's like, listen, I'm trying here. I don't want to just do what you want to do. Which this freaks out Connie. We realize at this point that this isn't the real Connie. This is a Connie that Stephen has summoned through the room, and he's trapped her in a fucking logic paradox. Stephen, very upset about this, decides he's no longer playing. Everything stops. He gets rid of the background. He gets rid of the card. He gets rid of the knights. Turning and pausing for a moment, he gets rid of fake Connie. only for fake Connie to reform. And he's like, how did you survive that? And she's like, you told me you didn't want me to do what you wanted to do. And then they basically begin scuffling as Steven's desperately looking for the real Connie. Fake Connie is chasing Steven. She's very capable. Steven tries to escape on the Sky Dragon, but fake Connie chases him, eventually knocking him off of the Sky Dragon. They fall like 1 trillion feet, who knows? Steven lands him directly on his fucking head and neck, and survives. And fake Connie appears saying, I know what you really want, appearing as Connie in a wedding dress. Real Connie pops up and she's like, Steven, what's going on? And is kind of freaked out for a second by the image of like Steven being tackled by an image of her inside of a wedding dress. But Steven calls out for help. Connie, without thinking about it, runs in, immediately knocks fake Connie off of Steven. They begin fighting. Real Connie cuts fake Connie in half. But she reforms because she's just made out of clouds. Fake Connie keeps urging Steven to tell Connie the truth. She says, I know that you like her. I know that you want her to like you too. You need to tell her the truth. And Steven's like, shut up, go away. Until finally Steven laments, telling Connie that he really liked the end of the books. He loved the wedding. He loved the relationship between Lisa and Arkham Icarus. He loved the wedding cake. He wanted to draw a picture of it. He loved the book ending, and he was afraid to tell Connie because he was afraid that she would judge him. This finally sates fake Connie, who disappears into clouds. Real Connie is talking to Steven, saying, of course you loved the wedding, Steven. You're Steven. You love sappy stuff. We cut to them walking out of Rose's room. Steven and Connie debating the end of the book. Basically, Steven's kind of laying out his point that the Arkham Icarus-Lisa relationship was set up for a long time in the books, and that was kind of a slow burn relationship. We pan up to see a picture that Steven, I assume, drew of Lisa and Arkham Icarus getting married, star wipe, the end. So, the existential horror has returned to Steven Universe. We were talking about
the thing.
Yeah, we were talking about how it wasn't here last week. Or not last week, but you know, it's whatever. Everyone knows what I'm talking about, and at this point, I've been doing it for fucking 15 episodes. I just keep referring to time as this nebulous concept.
Time is fake.
It's very fake. But yeah, first note, as always, these two are adorable. They're always adorable.
They're very cute.
They're the sweetest.
I'm going.
Connie very clearly hated Harry Potter's ending. Like, this is, on no uncertain terms, is this not about Harry Potter and putting Rowling on blast?
I feel like, just judging from the way that Steven describes this book series, it ended better than Harry Potter did.
Yeah, 100%. But
yeah, I am.
Still...
I'm knee deep in the ending of The Shrieking Shack, and let me tell you, I forgot how bad the ending of those books were.
Yeah, and Rowling was all like, oh, I knew the ending from the very beginning, and I had the last chapter put in a bank vault so it would be safe until the very end, and then it's, you know, you get to the last chapter, and it's just like, fucking really?
I mean, she probably had that fucking epilogue written for a hot minute.
Yeah. But she called it the last chapter when she was, like, prancing about talking about it on, like, press junkets and stuff. Yeah. But yeah, it was definitely the epilogue. But even if it was just the last chapter versus the epilogue, either way, fucking really.
Yeah, I know, right? But I love Connie just to, like, I love when the scene starts off, you're like, Steven's using this book, and I'm like, Connie's, like, sitting right next to him, though, isn't she? And then the camera, like, panned around, she's, like, 1 inch away from Steven's face. Like,
yeah. Yeah.
They're so sweet together. They're just so sweet.
They are. They're just, like, fucking adorable, and I love them. Like, Connie just, like, going full tilt nerd mode is great.
Uh-huh. sharing your interests as a kid is so lit because you're like, oh, the whole world's gonna love this too because I love it.
Right?
Yeah.
There's like no shadow of a doubt that like all your interests are universal.
Also, I feel like Connie's rant made me on both ends of Connie's rant. On like one end, I'm like, I feel like that's the same level of like anger I had walking out of Rise of Skywalker, and on the opposite side, Steven is me every time somebody starts like going hard about like Solo in the Star Wars fandom. I'm just sitting over here like, well, you know, it's got some point. It's got some merit to it.
Oh boy. It's still really cute that Steven wants to make fanfic for Connie, though.
I know, right? Like, it's like Steven, we just need to get Steven like an age-restricted account to AO3. He'll never emerge from his phone again.
I don't know. Like, okay, we'll get there. We'll get there. I feel like Connie is the one who's more likely to consume fanfic versus Steven. Although I feel like Steven would probably... I feel like Connie writes meta, Steven writes fanfic.
Yeah. Like, Connie would write, like, a fix-it fic. Steven is just gonna write, like, sappy post-finale, like, slice-of-life things about this Birdman and his wife.
Yes.
I agree. Connie's definitely the indoor kid to Steven's outdoor kid, and I feel like Steven wouldn't have the time or the patience to sit down and write anything, to be honest.
It's true.
But if you can, if you can physically get into it, that's where you get them.
Yeah.
I like Steven. I wrote here when Steven suggests using Rose's room. Steven, what do you mean I need to learn from past events, universe?
Well, no. He demonstrably did learn from past events because he didn't try to make the Infinity Fair because that was going to be too big. He knew to keep it simple.
It's true, he did. Like, I wrote this before we got to that part, but I do appreciate that the writers were like, all right, Steven has to have figured out that this room is kind of bad news sometimes if you push it too hard. So that was a nice little thing. Also, I wrote whale! !
I know. I love that fucking whale.
It is listed as a character.
This episode are so good. The animators this episode have had so much fun. Everything they made is so sweet. The little whale was so darling.
It's the little whale, tiny floating whale, which is, by the way, a credited character on the Wikipedia as tiny floating whale.
That's a dream roll right there.
Yep. I wonder how many episodes it's been in 2 episodes. Okay, good. This one in the previous Rose's Room episode. Tiny floating whale is pretty fucking solid. I like the line, like, from Connie, what really matters is the character. And I just feel like Connie turns immediately to, like, the audience and, like, stares them directly in the eyes and, like, looks into the soul of the fandom, is like, what really matters is the characters. Even though this was written before Steven Universe got, like, real big and its fandom got unwieldy.
Okay, so here's the thing. Rebecca Sugar was a Homestuck. Rebecca knows what fandom can be like. Like, nobody comes out of the Homestuck fandom unscathed. So
there are no civilians in Homestuck.
There are not. You cannot be a Homestuck and not have battle scars.
Oh, that's fair. I just like that's a good line though. But yeah, were you gonna say something, Pangaea?
No, I was just giggling at Homestuck and the memories.
Yeah.
That one threw it back for me.
I would like to formally apologize to Danielle for how many times I tagged Danielle into a whole bunch of screen caps from this episode. Our friend Danielle Pangaea is a very big fan of Animorphs and specifically Tobias. and really likes falcons. Has a falcon.
No, Jesse's a red-tailed hawk.
Wait, they have a bird of prey?
Yes. Jesse
awesome.
is a red-tailed hawk and not a falcon at all.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Danielle, go outside and tell Jesse I'm sorry. I know they don't care.
I do love an Animorph.
Oh, well, you should listen to some of our other podcasts our guild produces. We have Animorphs fandom is very well represented in the like weird Gordian knot of podcasts that we're involved with. But yeah, I love how Steven is just making this whole thing just for Connie. Like, he doesn't want to fucking do any of this. Not really. Like, he obviously wants to play and hang out and play make-believe, right? But, like, he, like, makes the cost... Like, he's trying so hard to just, like, make the thing that Connie wants to do so well.
Yeah, and he's just such a supportive little guy.
He's the best.
Like, he had to... His whole imagination built that whole costume shop with these references that if I were reading a book at that age, wouldn't have remembered at all past like 30 minutes after reading those words, which I found incredibly impressive.
Oh, speaking of the recalling thing, I love when Connie I just wrote down when Connie like corrects Steven about like the color of the setting sun in this stupid fucking fantasy setting. I was like, yeah, Steven, you fake fan.
Obviously, it was black.
Duh. God.
Yeah.
Fucking E-Thought Steven Universe out here.
Mm-hmm. And she has, like, a detail from every single book as a costume piece. Is like, the costumer in me was like, yes. Yes, please. More props is the better kind of props, you know?
Fucking fanfiction queen, Connie Maheshwaran here.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yep. She was ready.
Although, I don't know, like, in some ways I almost... Okay, so it was Steven's idea to go do the fanficky thing. I almost see, like, Steven and Connie as being representative of the two types of fandom, because you have the type of fandom that is about knowing facts and having knowledge, which is where you get a lot of the kind of skeevy, gatekeepy people tend to fall into that category. You know, people who want you to know trivia, want you to have read X number of issues of the comic, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Whereas Steven is more interested in... like, hey, let's fix this. Hey, let's interact with this in, like, a creative way. You know, he wants, he's interested in, having accurate costumes. Well, simple but accurate.
Yeah.
I can relate. I feel like Steven's definitely the kid that believes in, like, or is more into the world building of it all. You know?
Yeah.
Like, the people who like lore for the fantasy of, like, oh, where are they? What are they wearing? Like, what abilities do they have? You know? As opposed to, like, what is this character doing in this instance? Which I can relate. I'm like, I was so that kid growing up.
Yeah, that's a solid point, because, like, Steven's also probably of the two, even though, like, we've seen Connie do creative thing, like, she plays violin, but she kind of plays violin just because her parents make her. She probably wouldn't play... Like, we don't see Connie playing violin recreationally for a hot minute until we get to, like, Jam Buds. And then at that point, she's not really playing... Obviously, like, I just... Connie kind of, like, reminds me of her interactions, like, when it comes to creativity, like, and expressing herself. Like, Steven is definitely, like, a catalyst for her, like, finding a greater... like a greater avenue for self-expression. But Steven is like already, like he's an arty kid, like he's an artsy creative kid, right? Because like it's not the first time, like this isn't the first episode, nor is like Shirt Dad the first time we've seen like Steven like drawing or making or cooking or doing, you know? And so it makes sense that like Steven would be like, yeah, let's do the biggest fucking, make-believe house that we can, and we'll just make a new thing,
Yeah.
I mean, go.
And he's a kid with an access to the ability to like actually actualize fantasies, which is like so sick.
Right. But I feel like even if he didn't have like access to this room, this would probably still something similar to this, just in a more mundane way, would still be his solution to the problem.
Definitely. Some good old LARPing,
Yeah, exactly. Why is it that Steven's solution to every problem, if given like no impetus on what the actual solution to the problem is, Steven's like, yes, the solution to this problem is to start a small business.
Well, I mean, look at what his dad did.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I mean, I guess that's fair. I didn't think about that. Yeah, but it's like Watermelon Stevens. He sets up a little fruit cart. This is like, well, how do we raise money for the rebellion? Sell turkey legs.
Also, that's the solution to like fighting. The ending is turkey leg sales.
It's true. Yeah.
As well. If a wedding doesn't suit you, try selling turkey legs. And if that doesn't suit you, get the government involved.
Yeah. Sell unlicensed turkey.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus.
Nothing's more punk rock than not having your food service license.
Yeah, exactly.
Tell me something more punk rock. I'll wait.
Yeah. Well, probably the food poisoning you get eventually from that.
True. That's why you gotta skip town by the time they finish digesting.
I also wrote down here that Rebel Turkey Legs is my new food truck name.
Jesus.
Also, the Sky Lizard is hilarious. I've watched these episodes like 3 times before we do the podcast, and I laughed every time that thing opened its fucking mouth.
It's so good.
Another great character design. The whale and the lizard really stole my heart this episode. The tiny, tiny, tiny little wings on the bulbous green body is just mwah, chef's kiss.
True. It's just like Sky Lizards are. I'm gonna try and get Sky Lizard into the season 3 art. Just kind of like moving through here, like the I feel like the very first time I ever watched these episodes, and this is like fucking years ago, like I don't think it initially hit me that it's a fake Connie, even though it probably should, because it's pretty obvious from like the jump it's a fake Connie,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had a note. Connie's a part of the room, isn't she?
Oh yeah.
The first time I fully was, I didn't get it till it was too late. But then this second go around, you're like, oh, you can definitely pick up from the first time that she like loses her personality instantly.
Yeah, exactly. She had all these ideas and then immediately just kind of cast them away. So I think, like, if you're for a younger audience, or frankly, if you're watching these without a critical, like, because we're coming into this with like this critical perception of what's going on in the episode, not just kind of experiencing the episode as is. So that also might be it. But like, I feel like they kind of build to that pretty well. Like they set up pretty. They do a little bit of faking out where like the fake Connie will say stuff back, like interact with Steven, not just be there as be there entirely passive. So I think that.
Well, I mean, we knew that the room can do that kind of thing, though. Like,
yeah, that's true. You just forget that the room is a fucking terrifying hellscape.
Yeah, because it's always approached through such innocent eyes, like that room, because it's Steven, of course, but like I forget from time to time like how truly sinister it can be, especially to like a child.
Yeah. It was very like when he's sitting there and he's like, I did this whole he did the whole thing for her. He's like, he was just trying to impress his friends. Trying to do something nice for Connie. Cute. He's the best boy. I wrote because I had to handwrite my notes again because I was doing this at work, and I literally I drew the crying emoji after I wrote he did it for her.
Oh my god.
If you ever wanted to know if you think my notes when I type them are terrible, the handwritten ones are even worse. The sound design where they sync up the fake Connie doing the like logic repeats with like the pounding on the cart is just really good. Like they're so good at building tension and making you stressed out very quickly in this show.
Definitely. Yeah, the writers snapped on this episode. They really did what they had to do to make us feel all kind of things.
Sky.
It was just like very.
My next.
Yeah, go on. Sorry.
My next note was, this is a holodeck malfunction episode, isn't it?
This is that episode where Moriarty's running amok on the fucking Enterprise.
I was thinking the exact same thing. That's exactly my thought.
It is very much like that. I love the, like, as soon as, like, fake Connie is revealed to be fake, they just start animating her in the most inhuman ways. Like, her fucking arms just don't move in conjunction with the rest of her body, or she, like, moves really, like, her run is just really off, and it's very good of just being, like, unsettling you immediately. That bump Steven takes off the Sky Dragon is fucking, like, he lands full on his head and neck, and it's just, like, the roughest shit I've ever seen.
Steven can take a tumble. That's his thing.
I mean, it's true. We get to that, I guess, in Steven Universe Future, but, like, fuck. Somebody throw up the X. He is done. I like how, like, there's no hesitation of Connie being like, what's going on here? Like, trying to interrogate the situation. She's like, I guess I've just got to save Steven. I'm going to have to beat up this version of me. Whatever, I'll deal with this later.
Kill your double.
Good.
That is quite a lot to unpack.
Like, Connie's like, I'm just going to push this way down. Let's go.
My instant flight or fight reaction to seeing myself in a wedding dress is just slice it in half.
That seems about right, frankly.
I mean, I'd do the same. You couldn't catch me in the same room as me in a wedding dress. They'd be sliced in half.
I feel like they're also setting this up for, like, yeah, Connie is a person of action. Like, they're using this to sort of, like, foreshadow the places they're going to take Connie's character in season 2 as well. Because, you know, she gets more action-y. Steven's a dork. He's an adorable dork.
He's very cute. I feel like I might have similar feelings about the wedding as Steven. Like, I mean, I totally vibe with Connie on the whole, like, anti-authoritarian message and then completely fumbling it at the end. But at the same time, like, it sounds like there's got to be a deep soul bond between a familiar and their wizard / witch / whatever they're calling it in this universe. And I would probably have been a dirty Lisa Archimicarus shipper. So
you would. I know it. I know you well enough to make that call out, you August. I mean, we're playing Transistor right now, and you keep, like, all you and Mac are doing are just, like, crying about this sword man. So
yes,
but I like how Connie assuages his fears and is like, of course you love the wedding. You're Steven. Like, Steven loves weddings. He loves people being happy. He loves sappy, sweet stuff. Like, it's very in character for him, and it's very cute.
Yeah, I like how the show gives him room to enjoy those quote-unquote girly things like weddings and costuming and, playing dress up and the color pink and sappy romantic shit.
Yeah, like, it's interesting that they it's a nice move. It's not necessarily interesting because it makes, honestly, like, a whole lot of sense considering, like, the people who made the show and the crew involved and everything. But, like, to center your male protagonist on a Western cartoon show, and to heavily associate with him as like the color that, like, if you had to think of a color that represents Steven, it's pink, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Now, given like there's weight that goes with that decision, and like in the story, but like from the outside, like the Steven color is pink, and I feel like that's like it's kind of like them immediately kind of setting a mission statement, you know?
Yeah, I feel like there was definitely an agenda from day one,
Yeah.
and it was a great agenda.
It's a good agenda.
Yeah.
I also like that they kind of validate Steven. Like, Steven's read of the book at the end with their little conversation. Like, Steven isn't just, like, the sappy one. Like, he has legitimate reasons to think that this was a good and correct ending for the series. Because Steven reads it with that more emotional, like, a more eye on emotion as opposed to, like, you know, capital P plot in action and everything. He's really invested in like moment to moment character beats, and so like they do a good job of saying that like Connie's also not necessarily wrong. You know, if I was a person who was reviewing this book in the world of Steven Universe, I'd be like, it's really hard to land the plane on a giant franchise. And I feel like I feel like this is interesting, like an interesting topic to return to when we get to the end of this particular series in like 2 years. I
love Steven as a whole this episode. He gave like such sweet homeschool kid energy where he's like just wants to keep his best friend this whole time and wants to like keep her thoroughly entertained this whole time. And the one romantic like story that Steven knows is his own parents, which was this like beautiful, great love and loss. So like there's no stopping Steven from being a pure romantic in this moment, you know? It's just so sweet.
It's true. If you think about the like his main human influence when it comes to relationships is Greg. So it makes sense that he's like, yes, weddings.
Yeah, it lives in such extremes and such a romantic eye to things, and sees the world in pink, you know, which is lovely.
All right, my last note is awe with like 18 W's. So, let's see. Do we have anything else to say about Open Book?
That was my beginning and end there. Just how sweet and kind Steven was the whole time.
Okay.
To like a fault almost. But yeah, that was it for me.
Okay. Watcha. It's nice to have physical notes, then you can just throw them when you're done. All right, moving on to episode 47, Shirt Club. This was written by Helen Joe and Lamar Abrams. Sorry, I've got the hiccups now. Give me a second. Wow, the official synopsis of this episode. Steven and Buck Dewey make t-shirts together.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Jesus fucking Christ.
Oh my god.
They don't... Did they even...
Just like, no...
You know what? No.
Like, if I gave that little fuck at my job, I would get fired. Jesus. The episode starts off with Steven drawing a flyer for Greg's guitar lessons. He then calls the Crystal Gems to see what they think. They are on the couch right under him, and he runs down to show them his drawing. The Crystal Gems don't quite get it, kind of like giving him critiques. Well, Steven's like, listen, the time for notes is beyond us. This was done in permanent marker. Steven, I guess, makes photocopies of them at the local library. That's my headcanon for what happened in these in between scenes. He goes to put one of the flyers up at the Big Donut. Sadie asks him what it's for. Basically, Greg's trying to do guitar lessons. I assume to like make some extra money. And everyone's very passive about it until in walks in Buck Dewey, one of the cool kids from Lars and the Cool Kids. The Lars is quick to rush to kind of like basically fawn over Buck. He looks at the menu, orders a caprese salad. Lars is like, I'll go make you one right now. And Sadie's like, we don't even have vegetables. What are you talking about? Steven's putting up flyers. Buck asks him about it. Steven explains what it is and tapes one to Buck's shirt. Buck thinks that it looks hilarious and would make a great t-shirt, and so he invites Steven to come and make some with him. They end up at it's called the abandoned warehouse because there's only one in all of Beach City, and it's used apparently for everything from raves to wrestling shows to Mayor Dewey's like printing press. Mayor Dewey is there. He's kind of like unloading a whole bunch of equipment. Oh, actually, I guess that makes sense. Dewey must have brought all of the equipment over for Buck. Buck must have asked him to bring it over. Anyways, sorry. Basically, the mayor's like very excited that his son's getting back into the family business. Buck says, "I'm not getting into the political business. I'm making t-shirts. I'm making art with my friends, Dad. God." Steven then spots an old flyer for saying "Elect Mayor Dewey," made by Buck, in a very similar style to the way that Steven drew it. Mayor Dewey gets very sentimental about this, but Buck becomes noticeably embarrassed and instructs Steven that they need to get to work. They make up a whole bunch of t-shirts, and Buck decides to deliver the t-shirts in the most radical way possible. They go up to the bell tower that's inexplicably in Beach City with a t-shirt gun and begin just fucking pelting people in the fucking face with God. T-shirts. Initially they hit Sour Cream, and then Ronaldo, and then finally Lars. They go to Fish Stew Pizza to get some food. They're talking about Buck mentions that the t-shirts will be great for a laugh. Steven's confused, but then watches Jenny come in and show off her new shirt, calling it hilarious. Buck insists that the only important thing is that people are talking about the shirts, not why they're talking about the shirts. And Steven goes to see Greg and realizes that nobody is actually coming for lessons. They're all kind of like stopping to take pictures with Greg or talking. Greg's become a celebrity because he's Guitar Dad, but is not generating any sort of income for Greg as Guitar Dad. Steven runs home and tells I'm skipping a part. Steven then tells Buck that things are going terribly, that this is not making any money for his dad, and Buck is like, well, that's not the fucking point. We can't stop this even if you wanted to. They argue back and forth, but Buck is basically like, listen, I'm going to keep making shirts as long as people keep wanting the shirts. And Steven goes off. He runs back to the gyms dejected. He tells the gyms that there's an emergency. They're like, they spout off a number of fucking crazy things that it could possibly be. And Steven's like, no, somebody's just using my art without my permission. They're like, oh, that's kind of like a metaphysical problem, my dude. We can't like punch that. You're going to have to go figure it out for yourself. And Steven's like, I will show them. I'll show them all. Back on top of the roof of Funland, Steven has the t-shirt cannon and some sunglasses. Mayor Dewey is attempting to give a commemoration speech for the bench that we saw earlier. When Steven fires a t-shirt at him, his Secret Service immediately abandons him. He gets hit right in the fucking face with it. The crowd scatters while Steven just starts littering the whole area with t-shirts. It's revealed that the t-shirt is a t-shirt of the design that Buck did for Mayor Dewey when he was a child. Everybody finds this hilarious. Buck sheds a single stoic tear. Back at the car wash, Steven gives Greg the last Guitar Dad t-shirt, saying that it's a super limited edition. When Buck shows up to apologize, Steven accepts the apology, and Greg asks Buck if he wants to take a picture with him or something, but Buck replies that he wants to take a lesson from Guitar Dad, revealing his own Guitar Dad t-shirt, Star Wipe, the end. So yeah. I love like opening on this, like this whole like drawing sequence is very cute.
It's so cute. And I love that
Yeah.
this is how Steven sees his dad as like this cool force for guitar good.
Yeah. I love that the gems are on the couch the entirety of this episode.
What are they doing with the stools? It's never addressed. It's just this weird background gag.
It's so good.
Like, it changes every time we come back to the gems, but they can't seem to assemble the stools.
And I don't know if it's just because it's early and I haven't watched an early episode in quite some time, but the Pearl just looks so slap job drawn this episode for some reason. Like, her eyes are just like full circles. There's like no depth to anything. It's just like her on the couch, like blank stared the entire time. And I really dig it.
Well, we've discussed earlier, like, apparently, like, the kind of, like, shifts in art is that they put a lot of emphasis on, like, doing stories through storyboarding. So that's why the writers for the episodes are credited as written and storyboarded by, and they're specifically teamed up and they're writing and storyboarding teams. So, like, the art pulls very heavily from whatever was storyboarded, so the writers and storyboarders can tell kind of basically however the story they want to be told is. So that's kind of why Steven Universe, quote-unquote, falls off model so often.
I didn't know. That's so cool.
Yeah.
So interesting.
Yeah. Though season, like, the art kind of does become more codified as the series goes on. It gets a little less, like, loosey-goosey, but yes.
Except for Paradise
Except for
Height.
Paradise Ever-Shifting Heights. But yeah, I love that he, like, they're so good at, like, that, like, punchy minute-to-minute just, like, sight gag of, like, Steven being like, guys! And they're, like, on the couch, and they're like, yeah, what? Like, the way Steven Universe, like, just derives very, like, I guess, like, very simple humor out of situations is good. Like they're very good at telling that, like, quick, punchy joke. I mean, there are definitely funnier shows than, like, Steven Universe, but, like, it's a very cute way of doing the thing. Sadie's continues to be the best character in Steven Universe.
100%.
She's so good.
Yep.
100%.
I love how she's like, what are you doing with that cute flyers? Like, she specifically makes sure to, like, compliment Steven on his work. She knows he made it. Like, it's obvious that Steven made this. So she's like, what are you doing with that cute flyer, Steven? She didn't have to say that. But she's the best character in the show.
She really is.
On a scale, I've got to ask you both. This is a poll. This is our new segment, poll time. On a scale of, like, 1 to 10, how much does Lars want to fuck Buck Dewey? Like,
Oh, that's an 11. That's an 11, my dude.
11 minimum. 11 minimum.
it's like, it's not even, like, I love how they're just like, yeah, Lars is basically in love with Buck for some reason. And I don't feel like this is how it was in Lars and the Cool Kids. Like, they just, like, amped it up, like, I mean, I guess I can see it if I was, like,
Well,
if I was Lars and Buck Dewey existed. I mean, like, yeah, he's very cool. Also, there's only 6 people in this town. So.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
there was-
And there's, like,
Sorry,
5
go
of them
ahead.
are cool. Like, there's, like, 6 people in the town, 4 of them are cool, and 2 of them aren't.
Yeah. It's like basically Buck Dewey or sour cream, like, for Lars. So
Well, there was that point in Lars and the Cool Kids where Buck talked about, like, dealing with his dad's lack of affection and stuff, and then you, like, had the close-up on Lars's face. So I think that's the point where Lars decided that he was in love with Buck Dewey.
Right.
Oh my god.
Hi, Anya. So, at what point do you think Buck becomes a mean asshole in this episode? Is it right now, or does it come later?
Yeah.
Oh, it's right now. It's the up and down at the donut store and then ordering a salad.
I don't know if
He has malicious intent from day
Yeah,
one.
it's true. Like, I can't tell if Buck's supposed to be, like, too cool for school or just so oblivious he doesn't know what's going on around him.
Part of me feels like he gives me, like, you know, freshman art student who, like, life is a performance piece and I live to disrupt and, like, reaction is my goal and, like, that kind of energy, you know? Like, shithead kid who, like, saw one performance artist do one thing disruptive and is like, that's me.
He's like,
this is me
yeah,
now.
me and Banksy were the same.
Oh, yeah. Me and
Jesus
Banksy,
Christ.
we operate on the same mental wavelength. Like I can basically text him with my brain. Like, that's the energy that Buck gives me.
I hate my notes. I wrote here, "Hey Joe Biden," when Mayor Dewey's like talking about the youth vote.
Oh my
Very.
god.
Oh my god.
See, I blocked like the Animal Crossing bullshit out of my brain until you said that just now, and I'm so mad about it. I'm going to have to pay thousands of dollars in therapy to get that shit out of my brain again. But you're right. Mayor Dewey has an Animal Crossing town.
He does, yeah, of course he does. How else is he supposed to connect to his electorate? Like, at some point, sour cream's going to be old enough to vote. He needs that sour cream vote. Why did I write? I don't know why I wrote Buck is lost in the sauce. I don't know about what or at what point. It's just, I guess, applies to the whole episode.
I agree.
Yeah, I feel like that applies to the whole episode, but maybe it's like about the shirts being art and, you know, you don't understand, Dad.
Yeah, it's.
I love...
Oh, go on, sorry.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, go on.
Oh, I was going to say, I love the complete, like, oblivious, like, big-headedness you have to have in your world, in your life when you can, like, fully call someone else's entire creation your art.
It's true.
I'm like, no part of that was your art.
Like, I also feel like this is an interesting contrast to Lars and the Cool Kids, where, like, Lars are... Because Buck is talking about how, like, Mayor Dewey is not necessarily affectionate to him. When Mayor Dewey seems like he's not Greg's levels of the good dad, but, like, he doesn't seem like that bad a dad, frankly.
Yeah, he's like kept the cute little poster that Buck drew for him and is clearly emotional about it.
Yeah, and like when Buck's like, "No, we're making art," he's like, "Well, I don't understand it, but here's thousands of dollars worth of equipment to do it with. Get at it, son." Like,
Well, there are those parents that just throw money at it.
yeah, but I just don't necessarily feel like that's what he's doing here. You know, like.
Yeah,
because obviously
definitely.
he didn't buy this for Buck. He had just, he bought this because, like, he needed it. Maybe, who knows? You probably don't actually need anything to, as we will see later, you don't need anything to get elected mayor of Beach City.
Oh boy.
But, like, he seems nice enough and supportive enough. Like, this just feels like Buck's probably like 19 and hasn't gotten out of angry teenage mode.
Very.
Because, like, I assume Buck's, like, roughly the same age as, like, Lars and Sadie, and we're assuming Lars and Sadie are somewhere in the ballpark of 18.
Yeah, Buck gives me very, like, angry boy.
Yeah. But, like, he's just unjustifiedly angry white boy.
Yeah. Well, yep. We all know that person.
Yeah, my, like, notes are very sparse about this because I was like, yeah, we're just gonna riff on, like, Buck being a fucking asshole. Because, like, my next note after this is like, why are they building the stools? And then Garnet's advice is actually good.
Yeah.
Garnet continues to be the most mom, I guess. Or no, the most responsible mom. Sorry, Pearl's still the most mom.
Yes.
Not gonna take that title away from her.
Why did they give Aranon more ammunition for his conspiracies?
Oh, I meant to go.
Like,
I meant to go to Keep Beach City Weird and see if there's a post about the t-shirts.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh my god.
Not Aranon. Not Aranon. I can't.
Here we go. Oh, jeez. Somehow I've saved just like the Princess Koala picture. That's the like when I typed it in, it was the first thing that popped up. Oh my god. Oh Jesus. I hate Tumblr's interface, just for the record. Oh yeah, here we go. There was a post about it. So what Ronaldo said about this: today I made contact with an alien with my face. The t-shirt came flying down from space and hit me in the head. It bears the image of an alien known as Guitar Dad. He appears to have the power to turn sonic energy into electricity, and he looks totally ripped. Why was I chosen to receive this message? Is this t-shirt a transdimensional textile that will send me across the galaxy to learn how to play sick riffs? Or is this a clever ploy to destroy all of humanity? A soft cotton ploy, embrace that will disintegrate me into dust. I will never know because it's a child's medium. If you're reading this, Guitar Dad, I wear an extra large, no V-necks, please.
Oh my god.
Lord, oh my god.
Oh my god.
I'm glad I looked that up.
Yeah, that was a treasure. That was a treat for us.
So I guess my last note before we like get deep on the Buck thing is I really fucking love that like Mayor Dewey is secure. Like, because I've watched this episode before and I just forgot, like the first time when I was doing this rewatch, I was like, oh, are they going to do get down, Mr. President thing? And then the security abandoned him. I'm like, that's so much better of a joke.
That scene was truly sinister. I was like, damn.
Steven Universe tells the weirdest, darkest jokes sometimes.
Yeah, I was like, damn, y'all really chose this narrative to go on. I love it, but it's wild. You're really just gonna have a fucking, like, a political shooting in the middle of your episode.
Yeah.
Go off.
You could have just DMCA'd Buck,
no, right?
but, just shoot his dad. That's fine.
Listen, everybody. Steven Universe's advice:
Yeah.
if somebody steals your art, shoot their dad.
Yes.
Yeah, it's old school, 1800 rules. It's a duel if you take what's mine.
Yeah, that's how Hamilton ended.
That's how Big
Andrew
City
Burr
works.
went and killed Hamilton's dad. But yeah, so because the question got posed. Usually we do questions from the Discord at the end, but I'm kind of going to go with this one because I feel like it's a good prompt for the conversation here. But so Shannon is asking, basically, like, Buck is obviously mean here. I don't think that's necessarily in debate, but like, how much of this is him specifically trying to make fun of Steven, trying to make Steven feel bad about his art, or is this like just Buck projecting his feelings about his dad or his own experiences? Obviously, that doesn't necessarily justify his actions, but like, I don't know how much maliciousness there is involved in like Buck's actions here.
I think if we were going to see Buck be malicious about Steven, it would have happened in Lars and the Cool Kids. I don't think this is about Steven at all. Steven is just collateral damage, and Buck doesn't give a shit.
Like,
I agree.
It's not necessarily like. That's kind of why I was feeling like Buck doesn't want to make Steven feel bad here, but he also doesn't care if Steven feels bad here.
Mm-hmm.
Because
it definitely. Yeah, Steven was definitely the collateral damage in this situation, and like Buck was just like taking out his own little daddy issues,
right? This
on everyone around him.
It's just like him trying to inflate his own ego, do his own thing, and I'm glad that he comes and he apologizes at the end of the episode. It's good that they kind of like show that, and he like comes to. I also like that it's not like Steven didn't. I do kind of find it interesting that, like, this is one of the, like, Steven, well, I guess he did try to do it. Because, like, usually how Steven solves a problem is he goes and he talks to them. And he's like, hey, this is how I'm feeling, and you're being mean about it, basically, you know? But then he tried to, I realized he did try to do that, and then Buck was like, fuck you, kiddo.
Yeah, what's the messaging about revenge here?
Yeah, like, should you murder somebody else's dad?
Yeah.
Yes.
I guess it's one of those things where they're trying to show that, like, if the person that you're trying to talk to isn't having anything of it, take direct action.
I mean, that's fair. Like, he tried to solve the problem through talking, and Buck shut him down. And then, like, it's either sit there and take it from Buck or stand up for himself. And he stood up for himself.
Yeah. And I think he did it in the least malicious way possible. Like, I don't think...
Yeah,
I don't think he, like, was trying to, like, slander Buck. I just think he was like, this is, you know... an equal situation, like, here's your art that I'm using, is what the approach was, as opposed to here's your embarrassing art that I'm using.
And what's really interesting is Steven doesn't actually accredit any of this to Buck, because it seems like even when Kiki is, like, putting on the t-shirt, right? Or not Kiki, but, oh, what's the other fish sister? You all know who I'm talking about. Yes. It's yeah. When she's putting on the t-shirt, she's like, look, she doesn't ever call out, like, look at this dumb thing you made, Buck. Right? Like, seemingly no one knows that Buck made these things, and Steven just did this to show, like, specifically just to Buck, you know? Like, he didn't even make fun of Buck on a public. So he didn't, like, get up on a microphone like, look at this dumb shit Buck made.
Yeah.
He's just like, this is how, you know, this is the similar situation. This is how I feel. Got Buck out of, like, pulled Buck's head out of his own ass there.
Yeah. Well, I feel like he was definitely... Jenny, by the way, is her name. I feel
Jenny,
like he
yes.
was definitely... I looked it up. I cheated. But
that's fair.
I feel like he definitely went more the route of, like, I'm not doing this because your art is bad. I'm just doing this because you took my art first. So I didn't think my art was bad, and you took it. And I don't think your art is bad, but I'm going to take it because you took mine.
Yeah, that's actually funny because...
So I definitely don't think it was like...
Yeah, because I don't think Steven realizes people find the art funny because it's, you know, air quotes, bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Steven's just upset.
Yeah, I don't think Steven fully grasps the whole situation of, like, what's quite going on to the full extent past, like, my art has been stolen, but it's not doing the exact thing it's supposed to be doing, which is benefiting my father.
Yeah. And it's, in fact, benefiting somebody else, like, or somebody's using it to benefit themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a solid point. Yeah. Yeah, because that's not... Because I was trying to figure out, like, what's Steven doing here, but then that makes a whole lot of sense. Like, Steven's here not trying to make fun of Buck. He's just taking Buck's art because Buck took his art. That makes a lot more... That makes a lot of sense, yeah.
Yeah, because I don't think Steven... Yeah, I think, like you said, Steven just doesn't understand quite fully what's going on past the fact that somebody is benefiting and somebody isn't.
Yeah, because to be perfectly honest, I think if Steven realized the entire town was making fun of his funny drawing, he'd be devastated. That would destroy that child.
Little heartbreak.
Yeah. And then I would have to go
but it's always, you know,
fist fight all of these fake people.
Yeah. I mean, that's what you gotta do. Jump right into Cartoon Network and put on your boxing gloves.
Let's see. Okay. And I think... Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily... This kind of feels like... I'm in kind of the same boat about, like, I know basically, like, they have 11 minutes. You gotta resolve it, right? But I feel like this is kind of like the same situation where... like on the island vacation, where I'm just like, all right, we resolved it. I know we're gonna kind of move forward, but I don't feel like Buck really earned his place back into, like, Steven's good graces, frankly.
Mm-hmm.
But that also might just be a limitation of the format, storytelling wise.
I also think Steven's innocence is, like, really protecting him in this instance, where it's like he doesn't quite know. the extent of what's going on right now.
Right.
And so he can like just reset and like go back to like just being friends with everybody.
Right. Yeah. Okay. All right. Do we have anything else?
I think he got his full resolve.
Right, exactly. Do we have anything else about Shirt Club?
I just enjoyed how dramatic Pearl and Amethyst both were.
Yeah, I forgot to talk all about that because that scene also fucking slayed me.
Like, it's just very cute, and I liked the way that Pearl and Amethyst played off each other because, of course, I'm going to pay attention to any and all Pearl and Amethyst dynamics from now until forever. I just thought it was very cute.
It was very cute. Also, like, low-key shit that's actually happened in the show, except for, like, people catching fire when they put on magical clothing. Like, every one of the scenarios they lay out, you're like, yeah, that could happen, unfortunately. Like... But yeah, I forgot it. I don't know why I didn't put a note about that scene because I remember like fucking like laughing out loud as they escalate that situation to funniness. Okay.
I mean, that didn't even escalate quickly. It started out escalated.
Okay. Alrighty. We're moving on to episode 47, Story for Steven. This one was written by Joe Johnston and Jeff Liu. The official synopsis: Greg tells Steven the full story of how he met Rose Quartz.
Sure.
I mean...
I'll give this one to him.
Yeah, I guess that, yeah... Again, it could be solved by a second short sentence.
Or even just the addition of like fantasy sequence ensues.
Yeah.
Like, or flashback sequence ensues or something like that.
Right? Like, basically literally any effort.
Give me a comma and a few more words and we're there. You have a full, a blurb.
Yeah, exactly.
As opposed to like a whisper, you know?
All right. Steven is hanging out with Greg in his van playing music. Greg begins to pick up a drink, but a photograph that was attached to the bottom of it falls off. Steven catches it. In the photo, it shows a picture of younger Greg with his manager, Marty. Greg explains that Marty was an old amigo from way back. He also explains that Marty was his manager from when Greg met Rose. Steven asks what the deal is with Marty, and Greg explains that he and Marty parted ways when Greg got together with Rose, and Steven asks for the full story. Greg agrees to tell him and starts playing his song. It transitions into a flashback, and we get the song Comet. It's a big kind of like 80s power ballad barn burner of a song. And it's got this whole fucking music video shit going on with it. But as the song comes to an end, we find out that Greg is basically playing to nobody except for one clapping person in the back, Rose fucking Quartz. She claps and comes over to the merchandise table when Greg goes to sit down. They have a bit of a conversation where Greg is initially just kind of like in character and then kind of flirting with her. And eventually she's like looking at one of his CDs, is like, hey, you want that CD? It's yours. You want a free t-shirt? Sure. And he goes to get the t-shirt, but out of the van comes Marty along with a lady. They hop out of the van. Marty tells Greg not to give anything away. That's their fucking money, saying that Greg needs to make him some money. Greg turns to give Rose the t-shirt, but she is gone. Marty says, come on, man. We've got like a big gig tomorrow night in Empire City. We can maybe make some real cash, and as far as these people are concerned, we already have some real cash, so fucking live it up because we're hitting the fucking road later. Greg begins to go in search of Rose, and he eventually finds himself at a fence bordering the beach that leads to the Crystal Temple. Atop of it is a purple owl who does like an owl who, and Greg's like, oh, I'm just like looking for this big tall lady. I don't suppose you know where she is, talking to the owl. And the owl's like, yeah, I know who the fuck you're talking about. Greg's like, wait, what? And Amethyst, the owl, flies off. Greg jumps the fence chasing her, coming around the corner to find Amethyst explaining the situation to Pearl. Pearl, like Amethyst sort of like jumps at Greg, transforming into her kind of like more humanoid self. Greg's a little freaked out, and Pearl is trying to get Greg to fucking shoo away when Garnet warps in. And Pearl is like, I can't get him to go away, Garnet. You need to make him go away. And Garnet's like, all right, I'll just fucking throw him. She picks up Greg when finally Rose comes out, and she's like, Mr. Universe. Greg is like, hey, here's your free t-shirt. And Rose basically explains like he was having a concert. His gimmick is space. It's all very cute. Amethyst asks Greg to sing, and Greg's like, yeah, I can probably do that. And then he kind of looks around and realizes like what time it is, and he realizes that Marty's going to be leaving him behind, and he rushes off, throwing out a little bit of a one-liner to Rose, and then Pearl says that she can sing, and everybody kind of laughs at her. Pearl's very salty. Later on, we find Greg laying in the back of the van as Marty is driving to Empire City for their big show. But Greg is very distracted thinking about Rose, and Marty's like, listen, man, you need to be thinking about making money more than your fucking feelings. Marty begins to try and play something in the tape deck, and it won't work, so he's like, hey, go ahead and play me something on the fucking guitar. Greg's playing this kind of like song he's working on that's about his feelings toward Rose, and Marty's like, listen, man, ain't nobody gonna fucking listen to that sappy bullshit. You need to make me some motherfucking money. And then he says some sexist shit, and Greg's like, hey, you know what? Get the fuck out of my van. This is my van. Fuck off. He kicks Marty out of the van, dashes back to Beach City, drives through the fence, comes into the temple, and begins to play a song that doesn't have a title, I guess. Not listed as a title in here. Eventually, Rose comes out. She looks very sad. She's like, listen, you're very cute and kind of hot, and I would love for you to stay with you, but like, you're human, you have a limited lifespan. I'm not gonna have you throw everything away from me. And Greg replies that she says, I'm not gonna let you give up everything that you want for me. And Greg says, well, that's a problem because you're the only thing that I want. And I assume immediately gets laid. Greg ends the story. Steven looks extremely happy. He kind of teases Greg, and Greg's like, well, I guess if we didn't have Marty, I wouldn't have met your mom. And I wouldn't have had the impetus to come back to Beach City without him. The episode ends as Greg puts the picture of Marty up on his kind of like little row of pictures. Star wipe, the end.
I love the musical episodes.
We got the rain intro again.
Yeah.
So I guess it is tied to whatever the weather of the episode is. Why did I write down mood, Greg? Oh, yeah. It's when he says, I'm losing my hair, but I can still play guitar.
See, I wrote down fucking mood Greg too. He's dead to me.
I know, right? Very, very Greg mood. I love the deadpan delivery of that line. Like, he's dead to me.
Yeah.
He's dead to me.
Yeah.
It's very, very good.
So Comet fucking slaps, right?
So
first
hard.
of all, I want to say that at least this isn't going to be as bad as How I Met Your Mother.
God.
We know how we do find out immediately how he met his mother.
And
Yeah.
who the mother is. Love
and
it. I love Comet. Comet slaps so hard. It's so good.
Oh god, the animation values during that whole sequence are so good too.
Like it like hits the vibe. I keep thinking I need to make Greg's guitar because it shouldn't be hard to make. It's just like a fucking Kramer like 100 or something like that. What is hilarious is like, assuming this is taking place in like roughly the same year that it comes out, right? Like 2015. Like, and Greg was obviously like with Rose for a while, because this is really young Greg, and when we saw Greg in the videotape just before Steven was born, he looks very much more like current Greg. But it couldn't have been that long. So this was like the 90s when he was playing this bullshit. Like, no wonders no one's coming to his fucking concerts. Greg's like, I want to play 80s power ballads. And they're like, yeah, but grunge. He's like, nope, 80s power ballads.
And he's valid.
Yeah, definitely. He made the right decision. And what a little dreamboat.
Yeah, why is young Greg so hot?
I don't know, but I feel many feelings about it.
None of them are positive. Like, our entire Discord has been like, fuck, why is Greg hot? We don't like it. I also wrote God What a Mood is the, like, as the thing comes up in, like, just fucking nobody's there, and then you have to immediately walk off stage to work your own merch booth. Like, that is the most, like, fucking grinding in a shitty band vibe I've ever experienced through cartoons.
Big time.
What do you think?
So,
sorry, go on.
I was just gonna say, it is so. Watching back at like any introduction of like Rose, you're just like, oh, I know you're not as beautiful as they're portraying you right now, you know. But right now you're just like the height of like gorgeous like glamour and tranquility and like peacefulness, you know. Such mixed feelings, but she looks so good the whole episode.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask. How do you feel about our first real actual introduction to Rose, August?
I mean, you know how I feel about 8-foot tall women.
I mean, the Resident Evil trailer did
Agreed.
drop this week, so.
Yeah, you know how I feel about 8-foot tall women, so.
I also, I love that Greg immediately is like he's so confident while being like really earnest and dorky, but like he is so fucking like he just exudes this like obviously he like it's ridiculous that he wasn't a fucking rock star, because like he's just like full of like charm and charisma like young Greg is. And just like also just realizing that your merch is worthless and using it to like hit on people is also a punk like a struggling band mood. August.
Yes.
Who do you think that person is with Marty is?
I mean, I feel like with a name like Vidalia, it's pretty clear that she's Sour Cream's mom. And so that's got to be Sour Cream's dad.
Yep.
Which, you know, so it's entirely possible that Sour Cream was conceived in the back of Greg Universe's van, and that is absolutely horrible.
That is in fact true. Because we'll meet Vidalia a little bit later, in like the current time, but it's very heavily implied that in fact that is what happened.
Ugh. Marty's so gross.
He's the fucking worst. I'm glad he's dead to Greg.
Real slimy guy.
The
The freaking the way they draw his teeth are just
yeah. He's just like
horrible.
They just go full tilt into like you're not supposed to like Marty at all immediately.
No, there's not a single detail you're gonna like, children, about this fang-toothed creature.
Right, this awful lizard man. And then my next notes are 80s Pearl, Baby Amethyst, 90s Garnet, question mark?
Love it.
Yes.
There were so many different decades in that group of three people. It was so good.
So very, very good.
Flashdance Pearl was such a great time, and like 90s hip hop like Garnet was so good.
So I've got a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Is Greg why Amethyst has long hair?
That is the accepted fan canon.
Okay.
Yeah. She thought Greg looked cool.
And I mean, he did.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Because if you look at this hair compared to the hair that Amethyst has now, it's basically the exact same hair.
Yeah. Yeah, that was my thinking. So, yeah, that's adorable.
That is
very sweet.
That's so cute.
Fucking.
I got the vibe.
Oh, God, sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go on. Go on. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. I said go on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't hear that.
Oh.
No, I got the vibe when Amethyst was like, he followed me over the fence. I expected that to be followed by, can we keep him?
That would be pretty funny. And Pearl would be like, no. Throw him into the ocean. Commit him to the sea.
You don't know where he's been is a great line. Don't touch him. You don't know where he's been.
Frankly, true.
And then she apologizes to Greg.
Man, he's just like, he's so like you can see like this level of like cute, dorky charmingness. Like this is what Steven's gonna be like at this age. He's just gonna be a fucking like full on like loving himself charmer like Greg is, and it's great. Like lucky for Connie, like because like I like how like Rose is like his gimmick is space like they barely understand human culture, but I'm glad they get gimmicks. Like and also Salty Pearl, very good.
Yeah,
so salty.
I feel so bad for Pearl. Like, I don't know, Rose's scabbard left such a bad taste in my mouth. I feel so bad for Pearl in that situation.
No, that's fair.
But then again, I'm like Pearl stan #1 on this podcast, so
that is definitely the love of her life, but she is also like wildly defensive over like the slightest stranger.
My favorite video is like Pearl being salty for like 5 minutes straight or something like that. And it's just like a supercut of Pearl being salty from the entire series. But the best part about it is every time like Pearl makes a salty remark, they have a Funko Pop of Pearl in like a container and they pour salt over the top of it. And then they eventually like pour through like 3 containers of salt.
Jesus Christ.
Completely burying this Pearl Funko.
Fucking amazing.
So cutting to the van, so like Greg lamenting is fun. Marty says, "How big is she?"
I was just gonna say,
yeah, that with a level of familiarity, like this isn't the first time Greg's been obsessed with a really big lady,
with a giant woman. Like that is such a good type to have for little tiny Tic Tac sized Greg.
You know what? He's valid. Like, mood Greg, I too want a large space woman.
Yeah. And as a 8 foot tall, like large woman myself, it's nice to see Gregs on TV encouraging other Gregs to approach me IRL.
Greg solidarity. Man, they just double down on Marty's being a complete fucking piece of shit.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Thank God.
I like how like just unabashedly a piece of shit he's because we've had like people being bad people before so far in the series, but no one as just like bold-faced like a real like saying shit that you would probably hear people say in real life kind of shit, like from Marty.
Thank God Greg drank his respect women juice this morning.
Greg's a good boy. He raised a good boy. He is a good boy.
Yes.
I just like my notes were like, yo, fuck Marty. This is like my last, like, the run back. I like I like the second song. Is there a name for this song? There's got to be a name for this song. Music, songs. Okay, the second song is called Destiny. But I like the second song. I don't like it quite as much as Comet, but it's probably because like Comet has all that like sick visuals to go along with it.
Well, and it's not as slickly produced.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's all like acoustic, and I like it because that song the end of that song either has happened in another song already or is going to happen in a future song, right? Like the last like few lines, I can't remember what he says, but we've heard it in another song before.
I think we will hear it in another song.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's sweet to hear like the building of that. It's so sweet.
It's interesting that like when Rose comes, like the sadness that like Rose has of like, listen, I want this thing, but like you're small and mortal and I'm very large and immortal. Like it seems like we're dealing with like, this is a different Rose than who was like the Rose in like Pearl's projection, you know? Like this is a Rose who's like, listen, just don't don't do this thing. I've already lost so many things.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the difference of like 10,000 years, though, isn't it?
Right, and fighting a fucking war where all your friends die.
Yeah.
And then immediately Greg's like, he's so good at this. He's so surprisingly good at this.
Yeah, unfortunately, Greg can get it.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh, Greg's a charming little man.
It's true. Like, we breaking news. We regret to inform you that Greg Universe can get it.
Yeah. All the way. I mean, that little stripped down acoustic moment is everything. And the shot of her coming out in just the oversized shirt is great.
Yeah. Just
but with the whole gown under it.
Right? But like the nice thing about the art, like it helps signify like a level of, like by putting her in the shirt, like showing that she enjoys it, like it projects sort of like this visage of vulnerability within her. I feel like she's not like, it's not that she is just this like thing up on a pedestal that like Greg is desiring. Like it brings her down to like Greg's level and out of like this like, you know, manic giant dream girl like vibe.
Goals. The little teasing from Steven at the end is fucking adorable. Yeah, you love her.
So cute. This is the fucking cutest.
I always love when Steven and Greg get to be just father and son and having cute bonding like this.
True. These were 3 very gem-light episodes.
Yeah.
Like they're there, obviously. But like this is definitely, like these are definitely like B stories to like really help fill out Steven as a character as we're moving into the finale, I feel like.
Yeah, there was a lot of character building, and like I know they talk about it a lot in the future, but like this kid goes like is growing so fast. And
right?
Like even these like lighthearted growth episodes are still like big lessons to learn at such a young age, and such intense ways to learn them. Like in the first episode, it's just like this like some intense imagery there, and then this one you get this like idealized version of love that's like he's gonna worship for the rest of his life, because that's what all kids do, you know?
Right. Especially when the because even as Steven's feelings toward Rose evolve, he still keeps this idealization of like love and relationships at like his core.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's very startling the way that he in this season how he views his mom.
True. And
like,
then it just gets sadder. Like, this is
Yeah.
just like, look at this beautiful boy. We will hurt him. We will hurt him in unimaginable ways.
Yeah. That was my big takeaway in watching like season 1 episodes where I'm like, oh, it's so sweet and innocent and like it's all about just like Steven learning and growing and like no, there's like very few like outside agitators affecting him at this current moment. It's all just like a lot of like inward growth and it's very sweet and it's written so lovely.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Alrighty. Do we have anything else for story for Steven? All right, let's see what the Discord has to say. There was much Discord talk, but most of it was lamenting how hot Greg was.
Yeah.
Very fair, very fair.
So Will, in our Discord, hey Will, was the mayor's son being mean on purpose? This was the question I was actually thinking of earlier. I'm sorry, Will. Was the mayor's son being mean on purpose, or was he legitimately trying to help? Also, how cute was it that Steven wanted to help? And is Steven's vengeance appropriate? Does he, and does his apparent developmental age make it less threatening than it might be otherwise? So I think we kind of talked about it with like Buck being mean legitimately or not. But at no point do I think Buck was actually legitimately trying to help though.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Like, I don't think he initially started out trying to hurt. I will give him that, but he definitely wasn't trying to help.
I definitely think, like you said earlier, other people are not in his viewpoint, and he found something that could, like, get him the attention he desired, and it didn't matter what the outcome was, but it wasn't, like, malicious from the get-go, or ever, I feel like.
Right. It was just, like, not negligent, but, like, self-centered, selfish.
Yeah, and oblivious.
Yeah. Steven is very cute. The answer to is how cute is Steven? It's very. Every time,
very.
No matter what the situation is. I think that we sort of talked about Steven's air quote revenge. Because I don't think he was getting revenge. I think he was just standing up for himself at that point. And like you said, I feel like he just turned the literal exact situation around on Buck to kind of show Buck how he felt.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Let's see. Then Shannon is like, should Steven stay away from Rose's room until he's a little, I don't know, more mature or experienced? Or maybe just forever? What does it say about Rose as a person that her room is so psychotic? Anti-Rose fan club 2021. I don't think the room reflects Rose at all. I just think it's like it's the holodeck. Like
the room is a true neutral. Like it only reflects what's inside of it.
I don't know. I feel like we've got some evidence to show that there is at least some portion of Rose within the room. I
think when we see those portions of Rose in the room, I think that's Steve. Like I think it's the gym in Steven manifesting those, not the room itself.
Mm-hmm.
Like basically Rose functioning as Steven's subconscious.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I
think the room is very dangerous, and they should put tape over it and like put a lock on the fucking door.
Yeah,
but it's like Steven. Like, is he actually gonna listen?
Well,
he's not been watching television. He took the television punishment seriously.
Yeah,
true.
But yeah, I don't think the room itself is psychotic. I just think that it's one of those things where Steven definitely needs some more discipline and self-awareness to be able to use it.
Yeah, when the holodeck lets Moriarty out onto the Emprise, you don't go yell at Picard. It's not his fault. Wait, was that his fault? No, that was Data's fault. It was Data's fault. Right? Data was usually Sherlock Holmes in those scenarios, right?
Yes.
I have very strong images of like Data in one of those hats.
Yeah, I do want to say that it was like Data was Holmes and LaForge was
Yeah, it was Watson. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. That's right. It's all flooding back to me now because they're a great duo.
I shipped it when I was too young to know what shipping was.
Yeah, Will and Shannon have a good conversation in here about like it kind of like similar to like the points that you rose, Pangea, like the like Steven being too innocent to get too hurt by this, thankfully. Like if he was a little bit more mature or maybe a little bit more self-aware, because that's kind of one. Steven is not necessarily like self-conscious. But if he was, it probably would have been like a significantly more hurtful response.
Yeah, I definitely think that Steven did not grow up around like a lot of kids, let alone any kids, and let alone like mean kids, in order to like understand what was really going on.
Well, we've determined there's only two other children. There's one other child and maybe something else in the form of like of Petey and Onion. I don't feel like we can quantify Onion as a child.
I agree. Onion is an entity.
Just the entity known as Onion. But yeah, the let's see. So a point that is kind of brought up in this conversation between Will and Shannon is like talking about like, is Steven's lack of self-awareness like supposed to signify some kind of like level of neurodivergence or something along that with his characters? I didn't know how you all felt about that idea.
I mean, I think that you and I have already agreed that Steven is ADHD, right? Like,
Yeah.
There's pretty much no way that child isn't ADHD.
Yeah, he's just not in like a curriculum that would force him to have to like deal with that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But I don't think that necessarily contributes to the stuff that goes on in Guitar Dad, frankly. I think he's just like a sweet sheltered boy.
Yeah. But I mean, the question was if he was neurodivergent, and I think we're all pretty on the side of, yeah, he's neurodivergent, but yeah he's I do feel like he's just a sweet sheltered boy who just no one has ever given him any reason to not think the best of people that we have seen.
Yeah, he still loves Lars.
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely think it is just a case of like he's just a very young, sweet child, and like the 6 people on this town, on this little island, have not like weathered his personality yet.
Right. Well, it's because like the people around him are, for the most part, very supportive, which is nice. It's nice that like the show isn't like adults are dumb or adults are scary. Like sometimes they're shitheads, but like for the most part, like it shows kids the personalities that they can trust. Like and it shows kids the personalities that they should avoid. I feel like pretty well. Sorry, I've still got the hang up somehow. Shannon also asks if Open Book is directly inspired by Animorphs. I think Open Book is basically Golden Compass.
It's Golden Compass Harry Potter fusion fan fiction, because that the Wizard School plus like all of the disappointment about the way that the series ended, that is 100% Harry Potter.
I've actually not read through all of his Dark Materials. I think I've only ever read one His Dark Materials book. By the time I was kind of like aware of the books I read as a child were not YA novels. I read a lot of Star Wars novels. I owned like something like 75 Star Wars books because I was a fucking nerd. So I didn't read any YA novels. Does His Dark Materials end okay? Does it like stick the landing?
I feel like it does. I feel like for what it is, which is kind of the anti-Chronicles of Narnia, I feel like it does a good job of sticking the landing and is definitely better at sticking the landing than Chronicles of Narnia was.
Yeah, I would agree.
Okay, cool.
But also, like, His Dark Materials has Eoric, so, you know, it wins automatically anyway.
That second book, as a kid, I read that too young because it was like all torture and murder, and I was like, whoa.
It was a lot.
I was like, oh, we're just malleting fingers now these days? Good to know.
Yeah. Fast forward to the fucking Hunger Games, aimed at the same target audience.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, thank you to people who talked in our Discord. If you want to talk in our Discord, you too can do that. Go to the link that's in the description of the episode. I say below, but you're listening to this. This is an entirely audio-based medium, but you know what I'm talking about. The link to our Discord is there. You can come talk in our Discord. We talk about Steven Universe, our actual play podcasts, Animorphs, My Little Pony. We're currently talking about how Reddit is destroying the economy. It's great. It's a good time. Alrighty. Pangaea, go ahead and tell everybody about your stuff again. Give them another rundown about all your things.
Let me tell you, I got the date completely wrong in the first half of this.
Oh, good.
So I'm glad we doubled back. But so as far as social medias are concerned, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Pangaea, PANGAES_planet, on Twitter or Instagram. And then my next coming gig, and the last gig I'm going to be doing until around Easter time, is on February 13th. And you can find the information on the Chicago Black Drag Council page on Instagram, and they'll have all the information. We're doing the Chicago Black Drag Council is doing like a full Valentine's Day weekend situation where we have, I believe, 6 shows going on the whole weekend, all from amazing like Black artists around the country, but like led by the Chicago girls, which are fiercer than any girls I know. But yeah, that's where you can catch me in this coming times.
Will those be available for like live streams and stuff like that?
They will be streamed on Twitch.
Cool. Should yell at Riley and Jeff. They like live in Chicago.
They're super fun. I started I submitted my number yesterday, but I was doing little peeks at other girls' numbers, and there are some truly fun numbers coming out of this 2000s show. I was cracking up at 4 a.m. last night.
Wait, when is the show happening?
February 13th.
February 13th. Okay. I was like, you want to give us the number? Because this might come out. It's not going to come. It's going to come out before that. It's going to come out right before that. So we'll keep it secret. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on. We loved having you on. It was a good time.
It was a blast. I had a blast. It was a great show and great people.
Thank you. As always, you can find us at Gay Space Pod on Twitter. You can find all of our other bullshit. Like if you're listening to the show, you probably listen to other stuff. If you're new here, August and I do a plethora of actual play podcasts. You can find me GMing on The Room Where It Happened. Find me in the show at Room Where Pod. August, you want to talk about FTL?
Sure. You can also find me on Follow the Leader, which is an actual play podcast with a focus on GM-less tabletop games where we can all take the lead. You can find that on Twitter at FTLcast or at FTLcast.com.
You can find both of us on our Animorphs-inspired game, Dumb Kids Playing Hero. Season 2 of that should be starting soon. You can listen to August and Anya talk about My Little Pony in much similar format to this, though that show seems to wear on your conscience significantly more than this one does.
It has so much potential, and that makes it more disappointing when it fails, and it does fail.
We also, if you like our podcast, like we're part of the Podcasting Guild Standing Stones. The last show in it is Escafil Files. If you like the idea of marrying a hawk, that's probably a good show for you. Or falcon, I guess you know what I fucking mean. I cannot tell the difference between a hawk, a falcon, or an owl. That's done by our good friends Danielle and Jade. So go ahead and check them out. It's at Escafil Files on Twitter. I don't actually know how to. You'll have to type that to Google because I do not know how to tell you how to spell Escafil. But yeah. So next time, we will be going into the finale. We will be covering. God damn it, Brian! Get to the episodes. Cut this out. So next time we will be covering We're going to do 4 episodes next time, everybody. We're going to be covering episodes 49, 50, 51, and 52. The Message, Political Power, The Return, and Jailbreak. We're moving into the finale, y'all. Expect a very long episode next time. Like, strap in. Like, I know we usually do long episodes, everybody, but, like, strap in for fucking that one. Because, A, it's 4 episodes and also the finale, so... should be a good time. Again, thank you so much for coming on, Pangaea. We really loved having you. And I think it's my turn this time, right?
Yep.
Okay. And remember, everybody, be like Cookie Cat and leave your family behind. Peace.